Hey, we're back. See anything different here? No, this is not outnumbered on Fox, which you're normally accustomed to seeing at noon. This is the all-star panel jabbering among themselves, trying to steal my thunder over here. This is what we get when we get a gab fest going on here, or we got some serious politics to talk about.
Oh, we're serious.
Yes.
We are absolutely delighted to be joined by Joanne this morning, Cindy, and Jane. Jane is my partner on the regular all-star panel when BKP is in town, but he is visiting family out in Pennsylvania. He'll be back on the air Monday, and I believe he's coming back in town on Sunday, if I'm not mistaken. So you might have spoken to him. I don't know, but I think that's what he told me. Anyway, so we're going to carry on. We've got nothing to talk about this week. Nothing really happened in the news.
We never have anything.
Never have anything to talk about.
Speak
But
for
by
yourself.
gosh, we always find the time to do something, don't
See
we?
that tongue in my cheek?
Last night, in my mind, was one of the most amazing displays of showing such a diverse dichotomy from inside the Beltway to the heartland and what the real people in the middle are reacting to, are thinking, and who they are supporting. Last night we saw a president that went into American Airlines Arena, 20,000 seated capacity, and that's for basketball, that's for hockey.
Go ahead. This is going to be a fun day.
I thought I had some of my shirt over here. That tab, I tell you what, gets in the way of all your fun. Anyway, I digress. There, put you. Sorry. Let's see. He went into an arena that seats 20,000 people for hockey. He had more people on the floor, so God knows it was more than 20,000, but I'm sure the fire marshal will tell us. Fake news will tell us he probably only had a smattering of folks there. Right. Anyway, but the unbelievable thing was there were another 30,000 outside watching video monitors. So he had 50,000 people come out and turn out to see and listen to the President of the United States. In my mind, it was a total reversal from what he went through in Minnesota. Why? Because it's not a sanctuary city. Why? Because Antifa never showed up. Why did they not show up? Because it's a carry state. Okay? They were afraid they were going to get their asses shot if they busted in, which they might have. Because, as you know, Texans love their guns and they cling to their religion. So anyway, I just got off my soapbox, and Joanne, you did not see it. But do you agree with what I'm saying about the heartland is totally disconnected to what's going on in the Beltway in terms of their political thinking and their political support?
I totally agree. I did not watch it, but I did read about it this morning. And I think that's where in the original election, or the 2016 election, where they kept telling us how far ahead Hillary was and that, Trump was so far behind, they thought he would only get 3 electoral votes or something ridiculous. It's because they never polled the heartland. And that's where, America resides. And instead of the 2 coasts, which are very blue and have all the sanctuary cities, but the heartland of America is very patriotic, is very religious, is very supportive of Drain the Swamp. That they're tired of politics. They want someone to fix our problems, and Donald Trump represented the first person that was willing to stand up to the parties and say what was best
Parties,
for America.
both.
Yes, both. Both
Exactly.
parties
That's
are
what he'll
just as
say.
bad, are just as controlling, and spend most of their time worrying about re-election and the control they have over the states and over the people. and they keep passing laws for more control. And I think what we said when we elected Donald Trump is we've had enough.
Exactly. Cindy, what we saw last night when we watched it together is we watched a heartland. We watched people in Texas, and we watched people at home, I think, react so positively to his military stance of late. He said, we're tired of sending our precious men and women into combat and coming back maimed and or killed when
Not coming back.
there's a new way of fighting now, right?
Right, but I'm tacking on to hers a little bit
Sure.
more too. As I was walking out the door this morning, there was a reporter talking to people at the end of the whole shebang and asking them why did they support Trump, what did they think about the rally, all of that type of thing. Very interestingly, almost to a person, and these very diverse group of people that he talked to. I mean, all basically had been at the rally, so you assume they were Trump supporters. But the one woman said, Trump is the person we want around because, first of all, he doesn't kowtow to anybody. He doesn't owe anybody anything. He's not bought by the corrupt government that we have in D.C. He doesn't owe them anything. He says what he's thinking. He talks to us like we're real people. He's not up there lecturing us. He's not up there, doing anything that you heard Obama and everybody else tell you that you want to think this way and you want to vote this way and you want to eat these foods. He doesn't do that. He gets up there and he talks to the people.
And I think, he doesn't avoid the people.
Right.
All the other politicians, and the longer they're in the office, they rarely go out to where the people are because they don't want to answer questions. And he'll take any question from anybody, and if he can't answer it, he will get back to them. In other words, or he'll figure it out.
Right.
But he will let anybody ask him a question. He's not afraid of the questions. And all the other politicians are because they don't want to be on record for saying something.
Yeah.
Obviously,
He doesn't care
doesn't care about it.
Jane, one thing to what Cindy said, you watched it last night, right? Mm-hmm. No, you probably didn't watch it, did you?
I watched every one of them. You know I did.
There was a part in there, and I think it was right after he did his typical, right in the middle of the speech, he will recognize all of the, that is his MO, and he's
It's
so
great.
brilliant at it. But right after that, he said, to what Cindy said, you really don't want a president that acts presidential, do you? And he remembered he came out and he buttoned his
That was
coat,
pretty funny.
and he stood there and he said, when I'm elected president. He said, no, you just want me to come and talk about it. You want me to tell you what the good, the bad, and the ugly is.
That relates to people so well. I'll tell you though, I had so many things to say when y'all were talking, and now I've forgotten all.
Oh, come on.
But
Was your mom there? Did your mom go?
yeah, right. She doesn't drive at night, or she would have been there. She's 91. So remember, I've said it before, people get rich on wars. These politicians get exceedingly wealthy. And Trump doesn't get exceedingly wealthy because he has no kickbacks. And it's not just kickbacks from companies they invest in or own, tanks, etc. It's the countries actually send them money to help them or to do this. And Trump wants none of that. But people don't know that. Unless you really read, people don't know Halliburton and Johnson got crazy rich on war, and Bush has got crazy rich on war. So
Paul Ryan's a perfect example.
Oh, Paul Ryan,
his net worth when he was elected was $378,000, and when he left, it was $7.8 million. Now you multiply his salary for those 12 years.
It doesn't add up.
Right.
Yeah.
And plus he had to live on that salary.
Yeah.
Okay. How did he get to $7.8 million?
well, that's interesting. They want Trump's tax
returns,
I'd
yes.
like all of them.
Yeah.
But
I'd like Blumenthal for a start.
this would be a good Glenn Beck thing because he's so good at his things. Is What were they worth when they came in? Pelosi's been there, 32 creeping years?
Oh, God.
What they were when they came in and what they are now, and they make this much money. But we're seeing how it happens with Biden now. We're seeing how things under the table around the world through this company and that country.
They set up their foundations, and then they go out and they're in charge of a certain part of legislation, and the lobbyists come in and say, you know, we really should make a donation to that foundation because you do such wonderful work. Next thing you know,
wonderful work, right.
the legislation is being passed in their favor.
Or the foundation pays them, you know, a big fee. But look at the speaking fees these people get. I mean, why
That's
would you pay
laundering money. It's
$500,000
laundering money.
to a group of 100 people? I mean, how did they get $500,000 to pay the person? All
To
right.
Jane's point, did you hear what she said? It's laundered money.
Yes.
It's absolutely laundered money. And what you said before is accurate, and we've said it on this show before. There are such a tight group of people that are making money whether we're fighting or whether we're rebuilding after a fight.
Right.
They make money on both ends, whether they're filling shell casings or whether they're building new structures that have been bombed out.
Really?
There's money to be made in war and post-war. So that's why they want to keep this thing going. And Trump said, no more. We're not going to fight everybody's battles. We are a nation that should be a peacekeeper, but everybody else needs to join in the fight, right?
Exactly. Well, that's part of what he's been fighting for all along, and part of all this, you know, pay for play stuff going on over in Ukraine and whatever. You know, the reason I withheld the money is because I want all these other people to be bringing in money too.
The NATO contributions.
Right. The United States is getting tired of being the banker for the world. And, you know, that's what they're trying to get him for, but that's not what he did.
Well, doesn't that lead into the Syria thing? Because removing our troops, the whole thing is that Turkey is determined to, you know, create this, they call it a free zone for the Syrian refugees.
20-mile free zone.
Yes. So
Neutral zone
right,
almost.
But our troops are the ones that are sitting there. So either we go in and protect the Kurds, all right, which they're claiming, what is it, the PKK.
PKK is a terrorist organization that has been
We
recognized by the
it.
country, this country, 3 or 4 years ago, I believe.
Yes, but that's who they're trying to protect. We recognize it as a terrorist group. So our people, our troops are just right there in the middle. And Trump says we don't have enough troops there to start a war,
Right.
to defend the whole thing. But the Kurds have over 10,000 ISIS terrorists in prison there, okay? And all of this, the strike and the bombing, it has,
The pet of the
some
week
of
has
them
just
have
entered the
been,
room and has almost joined us on the couch.
And now he's beating her to death with his tail.
that's why she brought him early, to calm him down,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Get that boy something.
This is really important because either we start another war, there's so many fashions there, it's like, why is it our responsibility to sort it out? And here we've got our men there and women in harm's way. It's like he needs to pull them back until they sort it out. I mean, we can't.
Look, the Democrats never thought that the ploy that he put in place would ever work. Only because it's never worked for them. They were never able to achieve a ceasefire. They never thought that the threat of sanctions and the threat of sanctions on Turkey would work with Erdogan. But it has, and that's what Trump referred to last night in his speech as tough love. He said, we got to have a little bit of tough love, and he said, you all know what tough love is out there. Erdogan knew that if he imposed those tariffs and those sanctions and Congress followed through with them, and it was bipartisan, by the way, that they were screwed as an economy.
Did he announce last night that there was a ceasefire? Because it was on the radio this
Yeah.
morning that,
Right.
and
Yeah.
although they're
And-
still bombing, but
And
Well,
a
they
little,
said
a
it was a
little bit.
little
There's a little bit on the
border
border.
town,
I don't think they
little
got the
border
message
town.
yet, but
I was going to say, how do you get the message to the
Yeah.
little guys out
Right.
there on the front
Well, that's
lines?
basically what they were saying
and
this morning.
I don't know if you saw the report this morning, but it said,
Yeah.
ceasefire broken, and
Yeah,
they're,
big- big deal.
there's shelling going on. When you, that's the headline.
Right,
That's
of
the
course.
headline.
When you dig into it,
It's one little town where they think
yeah, there's
nobody knew there was a ceasefire going
Right.
on.
So they see a little smoke, but so when you get down to it, everything's
Yeah.
cool.
Well, and I don't know because I was listening yesterday, and now Rush Limbaugh said, they're making this big deal about all the troops that were pulling. He said it's 50.
Yeah.
There are 50 troops being pulled out of there. He said 50 troops. That's this big deal about what we're pulling out of
I thought it
Syria.
was like 2,000.
Well, he
Maybe
said
I'm
I
wrong.
heard-
he
I
said
read-
that's what
I read
everybody is
50
saying.
You
too.
did read?
I read that.
Well, Rush,
Okay.
And
that's
I'm
what he
thinking,
reported yesterday.
What is that all?
Yeah, he said it's
and
only
if it were
50
your
troops.
son or husband, and there were 50 of them over there, I'd want them out of there in a
Right,
second.
there's no way to protect 50.
No.
Well, that's
and that's what he
ridiculous.
said. He said that's what's so silly about this. But see, nobody's reporting. They're saying 2,000, and then Tulsi Gabbard in the debate the other night said, the blood will be on Trump's hand. There is no, and that's one thing he said in the debate last night at the rally. Not a single American has died with him
Right.
pulling out these troops. He said that's who I'm protecting. He said, not that the Kurds are not our friends, but I'm protecting the Americans that are over there.
He doesn't
I don't
have
want any
enough
of them to
people
die.
over
No.
there to protect the Kurds
He doesn't-
if
yeah.
Turkey's going to attack.
Exactly.
Okay? They had enough to keep peace
Right.
being there. But when Turkey says we're coming in, 50 can't stop it. So you have to get ours out until we decide what to do. I mean,
Well, it's like he said about Lindsey Graham. First of all, they've been fighting for centuries, basically. I mean, it just goes on and
Turkey
on
and the
on.
Kurds,
Yeah,
right.
yeah. And so then we hop in there to do it.
we hopped in there though because of ISIS,
Right.
and we
Yeah,
did
we
get them
did get
under
ISIS,
control,
we
and the
did.
Kurds
But
did
now
help
they
with
say
that.
it's-
Kurds
Yes.
lost a
The
lot
Kurds
of people.
did.
Yes,
Right.
and they've done an incredible job, and we want to support them.
We did.
But we can't do it with 50, and how many would he have to send? The
Exactly.
thing to do is to stop Turkey.
By the way, but
Right.
this war was never declared.
Right.
Remember,
They said if you want to
Congress
go
never
in there,
voted on
declare
this.
war.
Yeah.
So
But
yeah,
the difference in Trump is, and any of the other presidents, especially Obama and his creepy little red line. Trump
was.
said, "You should pull out. You should not do that to them. If you do, I'm going to
Make you
give
pay."
great sanctions, and not only that, I can ruin your economy." And
Exactly.
he said, "And I will do it."
Yeah.
Exactly.
And they know he
will do it.
Right.
he pretty
and
much says what he
It's
does
just like
what he
a
says.
mother that says, "Now don't eat those cookies before lunch." Yeah. Well, now don't really eat those. If you eat those, if you eat one more, I'm not making any more cookies for a month, and then don't make any more. It's simple.
Yeah,
You're a student of watching the rallies. I know you are. We talk all the time about it. This is rhetorically stated. Do you not think that was one of the best rallies he's ever done?
Yeah, they're just getting better and better, and he is a genius. I'll tell you. Not only in the way he speaks and but I think his decisions are just absolutely fabulous.
Well, he's keeping his promises. That's exactly that's all the American people want, I believe, is a politician that doesn't lie to them. If you're going to do something, then damn it, do it.
Well, the only reason he hasn't done all of his
Right. I
campaign
was just gonna
promises
say.
is Congress.
Exactly.
Congress,
And
yes.
when we had both the House and the Senate, it was a travesty that we couldn't have done what the people elected him to do. Okay, Congress stopped him from taking care
Even the
of
rhinos.
and they still are.
Yes.
And I heard Trump mention rhinos back in Minnesota. Did you hear
Yeah,
him say,
uh-huh.
and some of the rhinos? I thought, well,
Whoa.
hello.
What was
Sounds
your
good to
biggest
me.
takeaway last night from the rally? That's what I was going to...
Well, gosh, the people. What I think is happening, because I did not watch that Democratic one. I mean, I just could not stomach it. I just have to pick up the little pieces the day after.
Yeah.
But I believe what's happening and what is making Trump's rallies even better is that those candidates are getting so ridiculously far left. They're going to pay for. They want to pay for free abortion somewhere in California, right? All the on colleges. They want to everyone's health care, even the illegal aliens, which I could be charged $250,000 if I said that.
Right.
Can you believe that? I think people are.
That's in New York, right? Or is it California?
California.
Yeah.
I think people are really waking up. People that were kind of leading, they're saying, and Trump brings it out. You can't do this. It's impossible. We don't even have that much money to
Right.
do it, plus do other things. And people are just, I think they are open, except for your 70-year-old woman. She doesn't have a clue.
That's another subject if we get to it. But
Some people are just hell-bent on
people,
it.
by the way, we looked
Get
at
to
every
it.
other network. Not any other network, but Fox was showing that debate.
Of course not.
So, unfortunately, while Trump stands up there in all these debates and rallies, and tells you what's going on in this country, what
Right.
really is going on in this country, a lot of people don't watch Fox News. And, there are probably people last night that didn't even know there was a rally. That's the hard part about it. That's what, so he's reaching to all the medias he can, between Twitter and Facebook and everything else. He's trying to get the word out. But people who don't do those things, people who don't watch Fox News, people who, they don't know a lot of what's going on out there. And what to me is amazing, because when I'm on Twitter and I'll see a tweet that is ridiculous, and I go in and I respond to it, but then I read all the other responses. And people are really ignorant.
They are.
And I mean, when I say ignorant, I had a little bit of I told Jane it was a battle. I'll tell you guys it was a discussion on Twitter.
It was a friendly discussion.
A discussion on Twitter with a person I thought had to be and I said to them at one point, "You're obviously young and misinformed." And it turned out she was 70 years old, and she's a liberal, very liberal Democrat. And one of the people was saying, what are they complaining about all these hearings being behind closed doors? Benghazi was behind closed doors, and I'm going, are you kidding me? Benghazi was a House committee hearing that had classified information and stuff, so they took it behind, but the whole committee was there. Everybody was there. Everybody could ask questions, just like they do when they do them in public. These are secret little
Enclaves.
Unbelievable.
that the Dems are hand-picking
Kicking people
that
out.
can be in there. The GOP is not allowed to ask a question. They can have no attorneys in there. People don't even know that. And they say, well, the Republicans can ask questions. No, they can't.
So
That's how stupid people
That's
are.
how people don't know.
So uninformed they
also,
are.
I mean, all right, who's Sondheim or
Yeah, you're right.
Okay. I mean, he owns a hotel chain, Province Hotels, all right, which half of which, it's a small boutique one, but half of them are in Oregon and Washington. Okay, he's supposed to testify today about what was said in this Trump tweet and who wrote the tweet and whatever. But they are picketing his hotels, all right? They have a boycott going on his hotels. If he doesn't testify the way they want, they're not going to stop these. So here he is, instead of being able to say whatever it is, he's got to worry about his business, all right? He's the ambassador to Europe, the EU.
EU.
Right.
Yes. And it's the other side fights dirty. It's just like in these rallies, the protesters, they're
Right.
so ugly and they are so dangerous and people are actually
dangerous.
afraid, okay? Whereas on the Republican side, if they go to protest something, they stand there quietly, they stand where they're supposed to stand, and
Joanne, this has been going on for years. You
I
know
know.
who started it? The Justice Brothers, as Rush affectionately calls them. The Reverend
Jesse.
and the Reverend Al would use the Push Coalition, or they would use Rainbow
Yes.
Push,
Yeah.
whatever it was, to threaten the networks. that
They
said
would.
we
Yes.
will
They would
boycott.
shake them down.
Right.
Yes.
Exactly.
Go in there and say,
we will boycott
you.
Right.
your network if you don't say and act the way we want you to
Right.
say and
It's
act.
like in South
It's just-
Carolina,
it's
there'll
just-
be
all it
no
is-
more conventions.
Exactly.
Yes, if you don't
But that-
take the
Change
flag
your rest-
down.
They
change
would
the
Yes.
also
restrooms,
ask
damn
for
it.
money. They would
Yeah.
also ask. I read
Oh, sure.
something
That's
about
how
that.
that's how they support.
Yeah,
Yeah. They would literally extort money from them.
they would.
Yes.
So here's two things. One is I saw a picture of a woman who looked to be 65-ish, dressed a
young girl.
scarf. Yeah, you know. There was an effigy or of Trump, and she had a knife about this long. Did you see that on Twitter? She was stabbing that. I'm thinking,
That wasn't a hate thing?
well, hello.
Not in the Democrats' mind. It's
No,
not.
but they put
Yeah.
that on Twitter, and I'm watching this older. It wasn't like a young kid with a black mask. It was a grandmother just stabbing and stabbing, and I'm sitting there in disbelief. I can't believe it that hate. So what I did with my grandchildren, which I have them all over the place. Some of them are way out in the rainbow, wants communism. So I tweeted, and I texted them. Gosh, I got so much stuff. Tweet, text, oh yeah. So I said,
The Senate somehow.
I said, children, I want you to listen, to think about this. We got people in Hong Kong who are calling for freedom. American flags are flowing down the streets. They're just everywhere, and there some of them are dying. Guy jumped off the thing for freedom. They know, and they've lived communism.
Right.
They've lived it, and now they're doing this. And I said, the people on our side are picketing and wanting socialism and communism. They've never lived it, and they don't know what they're doing.
No.
First of all, they've never learned about it in school, and that was part of the plan starting way back.
Get rid of the civics class.
Right. So I wanted them to think, you know, why are we wanting communism? I mean, they don't look at it as a reality.
No.
They look at it that everything's going to be free. We have wonderful food
Equality.
delivered. Yeah.
Equality.
Oh my God.
They don't understand that it's not equality. It's called the government will take
Tells you what to
over
do.
your life.
But if they would ever talk to anyone that came here legally,
Oh,
my
right.
doctor came here from Vietnam. My late husband came here from Canada. He came here to escape socialism. Okay, he was ashamed
friends
of
from
what
Cuba
happened
that-
to Canada.
Yeah.
All right. My doctor said he doesn't understand. He'll talk to me at times, and he said, "Can I talk to you for a minute?" Because I used to have my Tea Party thing on, and he said, "I don't understand what's wrong." He said, "Do you know how hard I worked to get to America
Right.
for the freedoms that you all are throwing away?" He said, "What is wrong with this
What
country?"
is wrong?
To that point, we have a very close friend, and she's going to appear with me on this show. She wasn't ready to do it just yet. Her name is Ceci, and she is one of the most avid Trump supporters I have ever seen. Where did they come from? They immigrated from communist Cuba. Her parents and her four sisters, they came here with zippity doodah in the what was it? The Merrill
The boat.
yeah
thing,
yeah
in
you,
the
you know what I'm
60
talking about.
yes.
I'm sorry that escapes me
remember
now.
either,
but they came to Miami. They were reassigned with a few dollars in their pocket over to Mississippi, Texas, and then she eventually came back. She loves this country. She loves the freedoms, and she's ready to come on. She said, I want to get a t-shirt that says Cubans for Trump. But she is exactly like you said.
Yes.
And there are thousands of those people.
There's millions
Millions
of those
of those
people,
people.
okay,
You're
that
right.
immigrated here in the last 50 years that worked hard to get here. You had to be part of a quota, all right? I mean, we can't take in everybody. Why we let millions walk across the border, you know, with other people worked so hard to get here.
Yep.
And then the people that worked hard to get here don't understand why we're just letting people walk across. In fact, my late husband said one time when he was still waiting for his green card, all right, after we got married, he said, I should have gone to Mexico and swam across.
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
he had to pay $800 a month for health insurance, okay, $800 a month for Blue Cross Blue Shield. and yet you got it free if you swam across.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean,
Exactly.
Go
I don't
figure, right?
We're going to support all the illegals that come into this country.
Yes.
They're getting free education, free health care. Now they want to, pay for all these people that went into debt going to college. We're going to really, all the people that paid off their own debts from college.
I had
all
to
of that.
sign an affidavit, okay, and so does everyone else that supports a person for a green card. I had to sign an affidavit, and the lawyer made sure I understood it. He called to make sure I understood what I was signing, that he could never get public assistance from the United States, that if he ever needed support, even if we divorced, I had to pay
you
it.
got to pay it.
Okay.
Right, exactly.
So I made him sign one that said if we got divorced, he'd go back to Canada.
Well, I warned you all that we had 3 ladies here that were going to tackle this stuff head on. Anyway, we've covered a lot of ground. I know you want to touch on a little local flavor. So, Lonnie, why don't we take a quick break here? We'll talk about our winners and losers on the break and how we're going to handle that. We'll let Joanne talk a little bit about Carter's Lake over in Gilmer County, or does
Well,
that?
it's really all, I mean, it's
Yeah.
Murray County and Fannin and
Yeah,
Gordon and.
it touches a lot of the counties around here. We need to make some folks aware of what's going on there. So, Lonnie, take us to a quick break, and then at the end of the show, we'll come back with Rena, who is that guy? Nico.
Nico.
Got it.
Nitro is more like it.
Yeah, Nitro. Got his Superman outfit on.